Imputation. That's why this is such an incredible chapter. This is why Genesis chapter 15 is called the most important vision sometimes in the Old Testament. Our sin imputed to Christ, and then He imputes to us righteousness. And He said to him, I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to possess it. So He's talking to Abraham now. He's in Canaan. All right? He's talking to him now. He's in Canaan. He brought him out of where? Ur. He brought him out of Ur. Where's Ur? What country is Ur in right now?
Iraq.
It's Iraq. Was Abraham a Jew? No, Abraham was Iraqi. Is that amazing to think that God called an Iraqi and we are children of Abraham, and we never realized how close of a tie we have to Iraqis. Isn't that amazing? Abraham, we're children of Abraham, and we can go up to somebody now who's an Iraqi. In fact, every once in a while, I'm driving up, where am I? I'm in Fresno, and there's this, it's called a Chaldean, it's a Protestant church, it's called some Chaldean, I can't remember the full name of it, but it's like they were proudly Iraqi, but they're Protestant, they believe in Jesus. And I thought of just going there and talking to, I thought, go there and talk to the pastor and say, hey, I'm a child of Abraham too. We all are, if we're of faith.
We're his spiritual seed.
I'm the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to possess it. Who owned the land? The people that were there? Do you own it just by being there? No, you don't own it by being there. It's God's land. He can give it to anybody he wants, and He gave it to Abraham. And He said, oh Lord God, how may I know? How can I know that I shall possess it? So He said to him, God said, all right, we're just going to get down to, if I was a lawyer doing contract law at that time, the thing that I would need is a knife and a saw to get through the backbone. All right. Fortunately, right now I only have a computer and a printer. But back then, I would need a saw. All right, some kind of knife. All right. And He says, bring me a 3-year-old heifer and a 3-year-old female goat and a 3-year-old ram and a turtle dove and a young pigeon. Let's talk about these things. By the way, what year of life is a 3-year-old heifer in?
Probably 3rd year.
No, that would be a 2-year-old heifer. Yeah, if you're 3, okay, let me. If a child has reached 1 year old and just had his happy birthday, you're 1 year old. What year of life is he now in? Second year. I know this is mathematics, Jim. I know that. I know. Say it slowly. All right. Now this is important. It's just important. Yes.
We're in 2010, but it's the 21st century.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
So he's in his
That,
4th
would
year?
that make it easier?
What?
Somebody got a calculator here for this. All right, so I just want to show you something because there's something that, because he talks about something, the promise is something that occurs in during the 4th generation, and I think that's the relationship here. Why are they 3 years old? Because they're in their 4th year of life, and then there's a promise to something about the 4th generation. I just think there's that connection there. I'm just trying to help you get the symbolism of this thing. Bring me a 3-year-old heifer and a 3-year-old female goat. Let's talk about a heifer, for instance. A heifer. What do you know about heifers in the Old Testament? Tell me something.
They're a female.
Okay.
They're a calf.
Okay. How were they used in the Old Testament? All right, let me show you how they were used. This was an article by Chuck Missler. I love the title of it. He goes, "Holy cow." He talks about the red heifer. Here was the point. The red heifer was used in Old Testament times, and they burnt it, and they used the ashes of the red heifer to purify the water, and the holy water was used then to purify the utensils that were used for sacrifice. All right? So it was a way of purifying the water. So the red heifer was a way of purifying. I just want to show you, folks, that there's a relationship to Jesus in all of these animals. There's a relationship. The symbolism is there. It's not great, but it's still there. All right? How about the she-goat? I'm not going to read all this to you. How about the she-goat? Bring me a 3-year-old female goat. Where did the female goats come from? Well, let me show you this. If any one of the common people sins unintentionally in doing any of the things which the Lord has commanded not to be done and becomes guilty, if his sin which he has committed is made known to him, in other words, he sinned but he didn't know it, Then he shall bring for his offering a goat, a female without defect for his sin which he has committed. And he shall lay his hand on the head of the sin offering and slay the sin offering at the place of the burnt offering. And the priest shall take some of its blood with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering. And all the rest of its blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar. Then he shall remove all its fat, just as the fat was removed from the sacrifice of the peace offerings. And the priest shall offer it up in smoke on the altar for a soothing aroma to the Lord. Thus the priest shall make atonement for him, and he shall be forgiven. What animal was it that provided a forgiveness for unintentional sins? The goat. Actually, the heifer was female goat without defect.
So you don't want to be a goat.
All right. You see that? The connection isn't strong. You're not going, oh my gosh, but I do just want you to see that these animals have relationships to Jesus. The heifer actually was an offering for an intentional sin. The female goat for an unintentional sin.
Is that where the word Holy Goat comes from?
Holy goat? I think you're
Holy Ghost.
I think you're a Pentecostal with a speech impediment. That's what I think. All right. And then he said to him, bring me a 3-year-old ram. A 3-year-old ram. Here is your ram. And you can't think of the ram without thinking about what?
Los Angeles.
You know, it's so great to have Jim in the class. You know, St. Louis. Yeah, there we go. Oh, gracious. Come on. Come on. The vision. The most incredible vision. In fact, the most incredible vision in Abraham's life. What? In the mountains. What mountain, by the way?
Not Sinai.
Not Mount Sinai. Not Mount Sinai. It's where that Dome of the Rock is right now. We believe that that is the exact place where this sacrifice took place, where Abraham was told to go and sacrifice his son, and he was just ready to sacrifice Isaac. When the angel showed up, I always get a kick out of the fact they put wings on angels. I'm not sure why they do that, but they always kind of do. And of course, where's the ram? There's the ram caught right there in the thicket, and that ram became what? The substituted sacrifice. You want me to tell you about substitution again? Here, who wants to? No, I won't do it again. All right? I mean, it's a bloody thing. It's a bloody thing. Look at this. I went back too far. There's another one. Here's the, too dark, can't see. Oh, there it is. There's the ram caught in the thicket. And once again, angels have wings. Looks kind of female. I had somebody ask, are all angels male? Do you know of any female angels?
Yeah, they're
No. Angels are
they're
neuter.
really sexless in a way.
They're neuter.
Because
Not neutered.
I don't know. I don't know that about angels. And if I see one, I'm going to be afraid to ask. But anyway, I don't really like the depiction because it just...
Sorry, they weren't guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Huh?
They were men.
Well, they were always called men in Scripture.
Yeah.
Where's Sodom and Gomorrah?
Sodom and Gomorrah, the two angels that were with God, they were men. So I don't know. Probably, maybe they were just men. I don't know. And if there was that thing about Genesis, the thing that caused the earth to get so bad. Anyway, we won't go into there at this point. Anyway, but those sacrifices those were. Isaac wasn't sacrificed, but that ram became a substitute sacrifice for his son. And so Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son, and God said, don't need to do it. I'll sacrifice my son. I'll sacrifice my son. And that ram became a substitute for the sacrifice of the son. So I just want you to see some meaning in this thing, and these animals that are there laid out. And then he said, bring me a 3-year-old heifer, bring a turtle dove. Bring a turtle dove. A turtle dove. Let's talk about turtle doves for a second. Of course, probably the most famous one is when the dove landed on Jesus at his baptism. But there's another great scene about Jesus, and I love this because it talks about Jesus as a young child. Hearing that song, the Born Again group singing that song about on my Father's side, I think about Jesus because turtle doves come into play. Do you remember when turtle doves come into play at the birth of Jesus? Let me read it for you, because it's just a great story. It's a great story because it talks about Simeon, an old man who had been told by God, you are not going to die until you see the Lord. And it talks about Anna, this prophetess, who knew that Jesus, that little baby, knew that Jesus was the lamb that was going to take care of the sins of the world. And she just kept telling people, I saw Jesus, I saw Jesus, I saw the lamb. Let's listen to this story here. It's in Luke. Well, at any rate, before I get there, just one page here. when the days of her purification, this is after a woman has a child, for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring to the priest at